everyone. How are we doing tonight? Pretty good night so far. I want to say that it's been an interesting week. Glad to see all of our followers, our new followers, and some of the old followers we had. I'm going to start right off and get right into the news because I got a bunch of things I want to go over. Right now, the weather in Spring Hill here at Kennedy Studios is 47 degrees. We got a light wind, 2.2 miles an hour out of the southeast. It's been raining a lot lately. Last 24 hours, we've got 0.40 tenths of an inch of rain here at the studio. So that's a pretty good amount of rain. Now let's go over here to our news suppliers, Real News Real Fast. Brought to you by Tom Lemons. Looks like top story today off of Forest Oaks Boulevard there. Somebody hit the water main. Made quite a mess. If you guys know that area, it's where you turn right before you get to 19 if you're heading up Forest Oaks from Deltona. It's that little right-hand turn right there. All right, so we're not going to do any international news tonight because I have something I want to read. And then I want to play a little audio clip. It's called, What is Sovereignty? What exactly is the definition of sovereignty? And how do I acquire it? Well, a lot of people in America and the world seem to be asking this question lately. Although the public system and the mainstream media is designed to confuse you about the subject matter, the answer is really quite simple. Let's break it down. So, here's how a few reliable sources define the term sovereignty. A person, body, or state in which independent and supreme authority is vested. A chief ruler with supreme power, a king or other ruler with limited power. Now, the reason I bring this up is because with sovereignty, when you become a sovereign United States citizen, you are taking back your rights. And now the book that I'm reading is called Title IV Flag Says Your Schwag, the Sovereign Citizen's Handbook, version 3.1. I've read into this for quite some time now, and I'm going to start on my second time going through the book. And there's a lot of interesting points in the book that I'd like to go over. I was going to open up the phone lines, but unfortunately, once again, I didn't get it working correctly. So rather than fumble around with it, unfortunately, we're just going to skip over the phone lines once again tonight. And I do promise, and I do apologize, and I've been saying this for a few nights, that I'm going to get these phone lines up. But you do have to understand that I am not what we call a technical genius. So, without further ado, I do want to play this little audio clip, and it's How to Leave the Government Farm.
I love the day man's life out here, and the smell that wafts so sweetly through the air. And one of them I can't deny. These 4 fine babes are the apple of my eye. My job is the nation.
We think it's important to diversify your assets and your lifestyle internationally so that everything isn't in the bailiwick of one government. Because when you live in the country where you have a nationality and where you have your business, that government will treat you as a milk cow, treat you as a possession of theirs. So this is why it's good to diversify into a different political entity. Where you'll be treated better. You'll be treated as a rich tourist, in effect, cultivated.
One farmer can hand milk 6 average cows per hour. using milking machines, he can milk more than 100 cows at the same time. As this tried and true tech keeps the milk flowing, how the farmer treats the cow can affect the...
So, we'll go ahead and we'll play another one. Apologize for that. And this one was originated, and this is a statement by Paul Harvey, and it references to the evil empire. It's old, so.
If I were the devil,
Now remember, it refers
if I were the prince
to the
of
government.
darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old, I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves,
Sound a little
until each
familiar?
in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
Okay, and then I got a little more out of the Book of Sovereignty. Where does sovereignty come from? The source of all sovereignty is God. God holds absolute sovereignty, meaning he rules over all he surveys, and he answers to no one above himself. Every force in nature, including human conduct, is his subject and under the control of the laws of nature, for example, gravity. Yours, O Lord, in the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty. For all that is in the heavens and in the earth is yours, in the earth. So that goes back to what we were talking about with medical cannabis, provided by God. Yours is the kingdom, O Lord, and you are exalted as head above all. Both riches and honor come from you, and your rule over all. In your hand over power and might, and in your hand is to make great and to give strength to all. And we'll get back to some more reading out of the sovereignty book, but right now I got a message from our ex-president, Ronald Reagan, who warned us about Obama.
Now, one side in this campaign has been telling us that the issues of this election are the maintenance of peace and prosperity. The line has been used, we've never had it so good.
I won't have to worry about putting gas in my car. I won't have to worry about paying my mortgage. You know, if I help him, he's going to help me.
But I have an uncomfortable feeling that this prosperity isn't something on which we can base our hopes for the future.
The key point I'm making right now is that the economy is moving in a positive direction.
And yet our government continues to spend $17 million a day more than the government takes in.
You're telling me we got to go spend money to keep from going bankrupt? The answer is yes, I'm telling you.
We've raised our debt limit 3 times in the last 12 months. And now our national debt is 1.5 times bigger than all the combined debts of all the nations of the world.
We're going to raise the debt limit. We always have. We will do it again.
We have $15 billion in gold in our treasury. We don't own an ounce.
I have been informed that the majority plans to block consideration of this amendment, which is number 1367, regarding the transparency at the Federal Reserve.
Foreign dollar claims are $27.3 billion.
It said that China has now surpassed Japan as the U.S. government's largest creditor, owning at least 10% of all U.S. debt, perhaps as much as $700 billion.
And we've just had announced that the dollar of 1939 will now purchase 45 cents in its total value.
President Obama is expected to face tough questions over the U.S. decision to pump $600 billion freshly printed dollars into its economy. Now, the move is an attempt to revive the country's finances, but will result in a devaluation of the dollar.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours,
you'll construct a legal regime to make indefinite detention legal.
History will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers.
For some trips, it will be faster than flying, without the pat down.
Anna was picked to go through. Pretty much everybody except the baby was picked to go through the scanner.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
Damn America, that's in the Bible.
Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
I've got a core set of values that I think have to be advanced, and that my individual salvation depends on our collective salvation.
You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down.
We had an election, and it was about a direction for our country.
And regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. In this vote harvesting time, they use terms like the Great Society, or as we were told a few days ago by the President, we must accept a greater government activity in the affairs of the people.
E pluribus unum, out of many, one. In the end, that's what this election is about.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so.
Over the course of 10 years, it would cost what it costs us. All right. Okay. We're going to. It would cost us us about the same as it would cost.
I like the way it was edited. I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there. Now, I got one more thing that I want to read out of the book, and then I'll leave it alone for tonight. It's how do I acquire sovereignty? The fact is, all humans are rightfully sovereign, but most of them don't know how to be noble and prove it. You are presumed by tactic, silent admission, to be a subject of corporation government, if you have not officially declared your sovereignty upon public record. So, in order to do this, you'll need three things. That's knowledge, and that's where getting on the web and researching and reading and requesting this book would help. Guidance from the voice of experience. You find another sovereign citizen, and you ask for their guidance. They'll be more than happy to educate you. And finally, paperwork. Paperwork is the key to claiming sovereignty. You have to. It's a huge process, but it's not a huge process. There's a bit to it, but the sovereign society or anybody who steps up to help you, they will definitely guide you in the right direction. Now, I got another clip that I want to play, and it's called "Scary New World Order Plans for 2014." And I just, I thought it was interesting, and I thought you might want to hear this. So,
all of the things we talked about when I was, your on-air co-worker, all those things have happened. And people don't either care or they didn't listen or whatever. It doesn't matter. Other things that we talked about and other things that we're now seeing are going to happen. The dollar is not going to last. So what does the world look like? We have two ways to go. We can either tear each other apart, or we can see that world that Amazon was talking about last night on 60 Minutes, where literally the sky is the limit. Everything you know is about to change.
When you look at the state of the economy, Obamacare, the disaster, the rise in the ever-growing government, deficits, debt, doubling of the people on welfare, what do you think in the privacy? I know you spend a lot of time reading, and you now become a student of history. What do you think privately is going to happen to this country?
I think that we are
in trouble.
Yeah, and I think that we are in a situation that we will either rise to the occasion and be our best selves. I saw something that happened over the weekend, Sean, a poll that came out. I know
you heard him say rise up. That means rise up against brutality, false imprisonment, false accusations. The list just goes on and on and on and on and on. I can't stress enough how this situation that has been presented in front of me via Hernando County has opened my eyes to a lot of corruption. And let me just clarify something, everyone. I love this county. Okay, I've been here since 1989, and I love it. But it has changed, and it unfortunately has changed for the worse. So let's get back to the clip.
Must have talked about it today. 70% of Americans don't trust each other. They think only 30% of this country you can trust. If that remains true, will we then become Europe?
We see signs that with the noblest of intentions, the Obama administration is in a kind of headlong retreat from the kind of global engagement that, in our view, offers the best hope for peace. Quick final thought from you, because you say openly in your essay that you're reserving judgment on all of this as we learn more over the next several weeks. But one of the things that you talk about in a broader perspective is global powers trying to rearrange themselves.
Now, if we run out of time, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt the play, but if we run out of time, I'll just, because we only got about 9 minutes left of our 30-minute broadcast time. So if we run out of time, I'll just come back, we'll take a quick break, and then I'll come back on the air, and I'll finish playing the clip.
into a new global world order.
What we're seeing is a kind of a concerted pushback by these three countries. I think we have to watch it carefully to see whether, in fact, this is the opening of a new moment in international history.
Very interesting. Lazarus?
Whether, in fact, this is the opening of a new moment in international history.
New mystery surrounding One World Trade Center. For about a year, New Yorkers have reported hearing an eerie sound coming from the newly constructed building. They call it haunting, and it's got a lot of people talking. Rick Leventhal joins us now. So, Rick, you went down there. You did some investigative work. What did you learn?
Well, I don't know about any of you. I haven't been there since construction was going on, but that's an interesting thing. So, if any of my listeners are listening from New York and you're in the area of Manhattan, get down there. If you have an iPhone, get down there, and let's see if we can't record this sound and get you on here and see what's going on over there. So, back to the clip.
There's clearly a noise. It's not clear exactly where it's coming from. It can create a sound that some are calling eerie, haunting, even moaning. The whistling was first reported by
could it be a harp?
The Tribeca citizen on the day after Thanksgiving. A man who lives a couple blocks from the almost completed One World Trade Tower wrote a local paper and said he first heard the sound during Hurricane Sandy last year and assumed it would be eliminated when the building's framework was finished and the windows installed. Well, then, last week in the middle of the night, the neighbor says the tower began whistling again with a slightly different, two-toned cry, calling it unmistakable and very chilling. So here it is, and you can judge for yourself.
One of them is the mechanical mismatch between humans and electronics, right? So electronics are boxy and rigid, humans are curvy and soft. That's a mechanical mismatch problem. Well, a researcher at the University of Illinois, his name is Dr. Rogers, what he did is he founded a company and they started making electronic tattoos. So I'm wearing one here on my arm.
Do we have a camera to get a...
This is a developmental system made by MC10.
Pay attention,
and
everyone.
It has an antenna and some sensors embedded in it. And what we plan to do is work with them to advance a tattoo that could be used for authentication.
They want to microchip us. Okay? They want to microchip us. Now, you could see this video. This is actually a YouTube video called Scary New World Order Plans for 2014.
Now, it may be true that 10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents. That's something that you wear, but you could also imagine including authentication in just your daily habits. So I take a vitamin every morning. What if I could take vitamin authentication?
What?
Vitamin authentication. Look, I have one right here. Well, here, I'll let you hold it. Would you like to hold it?
I'll hold it.
Okay. So,
you guys see it?
This pill has a small chip inside of it with a switch. And they power it up, and the switch goes on and off. And it creates an 18-bit ECG-like signal in your body, and essentially your entire body becomes your authentication token. Yes.
Okay. Now, we've got about 5 minutes left of this broadcast. I don't know about you, but I don't want the government putting anything inside my body so they can locate me, listen to me, because ultimately you put something in your body, okay? You swallow a microphone and it can survive the moisture and the acid of your stomach. Let me tell you something, folks, all right? You put a microphone up to your larynx or your voice box, and that resonation, okay, it's called a resonating sound. You will hear it. If you look at any military outfit, in the movies, they have those headphones that are up to their neck and they're always talking on them like that. Yeah, well, that's because it resonates off your voice box. So this is the way that the government wants to control, locate, tag.
This is true.
Okay, but...
Okay, so wait. So it's really true. So what this means is that becomes my first superpower. I really want this superpower. It means that my arms are like wires, my hands are like alligator clips when I touch my phone, my computer,
my door, my car, I'm authenticated in. First superpower. Like, I want that.
This is FDA cleared?
So here's the thing. This is not science fiction. This pill is actually made by a company called Proteus.
Okay, so there you go. This is not fake. This is the real deal. There are microchips out there. Now, you don't even know if you have one in you. Let's be honest. How many of you out there have taken that poison that those legal drug dealers are out there pushing? And I say legal drug dealers if nobody knows what that is. It's called pharmacists. It's called doctors. It's called your government. Legal drug dealers, okay? We've got about 3.5 minutes left, so what I'm going to do is we're just going to cut this broadcast here, and please come back on. I'm going to start the broadcast back up, and we're going to get back into this clip that we are listening to, so we'll be right back.